morning, guys, and welcome to the reptile room. With our cold breeze of winter coming through, remember to check all your temperatures over and make sure your reptiles are warm enough. They are cold-blooded, so they can't heat themselves. So if you're cold, they're probably cold. Just go over their enclosure, make sure your temps are on point. There's a few different ways you can heat an enclosure. In an emergency, such as a power outage, you can use one of these guys. You want to make sure you use them responsibly. This is a 72-hour heat pack. On their own, they get pretty hot, so you want to make sure you regulate it by wrapping it up in some cloths or something. A bottle of hot water can also work. These guys right here are reptile heat pads. They go underneath the tank. They're a great belly heat source for many reptiles. Some of the ones that don't bask in the sun so much will benefit from these. Now, these left to their own devices can also get very hot enough to burn your reptiles, and they don't always realize that that's happening. So you're going to want to make sure that you hook it up to something like this. This is a thermostat. You can set your temperature on these, and these are not going to let the heat pad get any hotter than that. It's going to sort of maintain that set point. That's not to be confused with this. This is a thermometer. This will tell you what the temperature is, but it's not going to control it. Same with the little dials on the back of your tank sometimes, those little analog dudes. They're not actually going to control the temperature. They're just going to tell you what it is. So you want to make sure that you're being very careful to control that temperature. This right here, you see many versions of this. A moonlight bulb, you see them as red bulbs sometimes. They don't really work as advertised. The idea is they're a great heat source at nighttime when the reptiles want no light so they can sleep. And the concept is that reptiles can't see that spectrum of light. Of course, there's no real way for us to know that. It's more just sort of a marketing tactic. So I would steer clear of these as a nighttime heat source, but they can work as a basking source during the day. At nighttime, you're going to want to use something more along these lines. This is a ceramic heat emitter. They fit into a typical reptile light dome. You just want to make sure they have a nice ceramic back on them. This is going to produce a lot of infrared sea heat. It will knock your humidity down quite a bit, so you want to be mindful which species you're using this on and compensate accordingly. This right here is an improved version of that. These are deep heat projectors. They're going to push that heat into the enclosure a lot better. They work on a much wider spectrum, and their type of heat they deliver is going to help penetrate the tissue of the reptile that you are trying to heat a little bit better than one of these ceramic heat emitters will. But they're both pretty good options if used responsibly. This is a basking light. This is a mercury vapor basking light, so it actually gives you your UV light at the same time. These are really good for high Ferguson zone animals like bearded dragons or uromastyx. Or you can use a little halogen light like this. Now do keep in mind, with any heat source that produces visible light, you're going to want that off at nighttime so your reptiles can have a circadian rhythm. So whether you're turning them off at night and compensating with heat with a ceramic heat emitter, a deep heat projector, or a heat pad, those are all decent options. That said, some species do pretty well with a little bit of a night temperature drop, so just bear in mind what species you're working with. Last but not least, this is a dome. It's pretty self-explanatory, but this is what you would put any of these lights or heat projectors into. And again, check your temperatures, make sure that they're not too high, and if they are too high, you can regulate them with a thermostat. Ciao.